So I just got finished watching the second presidential debate, and all I gotta say is, in the words of Nick Diaz, I ain't surprised, motherfuckers. This was a definite beatdown by Donald Trump. He started off a little slow, which actually had me nervous because I was worried that he was going to start playing defense again. We didn't know how he was going to react to the stuff that come out over the weekend with the stupid controversy about his comments from the Billy Bush show 10 years ago. But we knew that they were going to use it somehow and they were going to bring it up. But like they say, some cats surf and some cats make the waves. And he definitely did an awesome job of stopping her butt cold in her tracks. He diverted it to the actual allegations of sexual assault and rape on Bill Clinton and her covering it up, getting child rapists off. It's ridiculous that they would even bother trying to bring up a random rude comment made by Trump in light that these things are out there. And between that and the emails, she was shook. She wanted no part of it. And the moderators helped her out. They got out of there. She didn't touch the issue again at all, and neither did the moderators. She wanted nothing to do with the email response. She was getting rattled badly when he was hammering her on the emails and the criminal charges, saying he came out and said, I will prosecute her if I'm elected president. I will assign a special prosecutor to go after her for criminal charges, for the email scandal, for the way she's handled classified material. And it was just not a good night for her overall. Anytime she managed to stick to her talking points, she was her normal politician self, you know, well rehearsed, a lot of just platitudes and things like that don't really make any sense. Standard stuff for politicians, like you were saying, all talk, no action. Anytime he got her having to actually talk about the issues, specifically addressing any of these allegations, she faltered badly and didn't really know how to do it, and kept making like annoying laughs and just like ghoulish grins and stuff. And she was physically having a rough time. It may not have been super obvious, but she was relying heavily on having to sit on her stool. She could only stand for brief periods of time. And by the end of it, you saw her starting to swallow hard. And she literally looked like she was going to fall asleep or pass out on her stool. And she was doing her little head thing a lot of times like this, like whatever the hell that is. And yeah, she was looking rough by the end of it. She was, you know, doing her little crooked stool sit that she always does. I don't know why she does that. She can't sit on a chair normally. She has to sit on the edge of it and like lean back, like she's got a stick up her butt or something, or some sort of medical devices on or whatever. But yeah, she was not handling it well. She sat a lot. Trump was standing for most of it, especially once he got started. And yeah, that was great. A couple of good things that he brought up was obviously saying he's going to prosecute her, saying that she should be in jail. That was awesome. Asking her, why don't you, like, you have a bunch of money, why don't you donate any of your money to your campaign? Like, you don't have to do 100 million like I did, but you know, why not 5, 10 million? And he's like, I know why, because you'd rather take money from special interests and donors. And she didn't really address that at all, which is interesting. The moderators were a goddamn disgrace in this. He literally, early on in the debate, Trump said, what is this, 1-on-3? Or I guess it's 1-on-3, and he was absolutely right. They interrupted him a lot more than her. They would, in a couple instances, Martha Radish, whatever the fuck her name is, Ratatouille, she would ask him a question. This happened at least twice. And then he would start answering, and before he even had a chance to get anything out, like maybe 5 or 10 seconds in, she'd be like, we're talking about, and you know what I mean, like, and like repeat the question before he even had a chance to get a whole sentence out. It was really disgraceful. And in one point, she was even like actively arguing with him. It was ridiculous. This should go to show anyone that thinks otherwise that there's obvious bias by these moderators. It's having an adult beverage. But overall, it was an obvious win for Trump. Like I said, he started out a little slow, and I was a little worried, and but he turned it on, man. And by the end of it, it was a pretty solid beatdown, I would say. Solid win for Trump, and it was hilarious to hear the cognitive dissonance or simply dishonesty from the media, because right after the debate was over, the live feed, I forget who I was watching, it was whichever one Twitter linked to, so maybe, I think it was Bloomberg was the commentary after. Whoever they had talking, I didn't show who it was, probably nobody I would recognize, but they're saying like, well, you know, Trump really needed to do well in this debate, and all he really did was survive, so he probably actually lost some followers. I'm like, in what universe, what debate were they watching? Hilarious. But it just goes to show you the lengths to which they're willing to deceive and be deceitful. And some of the other things she said, you can check my Twitter account for some of the comments I made during it. She said something about I've worked with a lot of Muslim organizations or something like that, and I was like, I bet you have, hashtag ISIS. She's just walked into a bunch of stuff like that, and good night overall. We'll see what happens in the morning, but this was a definite win for Trump. I don't care what anyone says. He did really well, and it goes to show you how well he does when he's on the attack. He's not the type of person who can play defense and do it well. He is best when he's on the attack, just like Mike Cernovich has said and others have said, and this proved it. And he started out a little, and it looks like he, maybe even mid-debate, shook off some of the advice maybe that some of his more tepid, timid campaign advisors had given him, and really went on the attack, and it worked wonders. People had told him they probably shouldn't bring up the sexual assault allegations by Bill Clinton or any of the stuff like that, and obviously that was bad idea, bad advice. Bringing that up, which is obviously true, and the email scandals, she wanted out of there. She knows she has no answer for any of that, and Trump doesn't have an answer really for like this naughty word scandal, but it's a non-issue. I mean, like, it's funny because all that was already priced in. People knew that Trump was a womanizing, kind of crude, arrogant guy, and nothing in that leaked audio changed that. Like, yes, it put it right in your face in vulgar terms, but it didn't change anyone's opinion about him. Sort of how in the same way all these new WikiLeaks releases about Hillary haven't changed much for her either, because everyone who's decided to support her at this point knows she's a crooked piece of shit. So they're deciding to support her anyway. So a little more evidence coming out that she's crooked, or even more crooked than we may have even known, it's not going to change her mind at this point. And a little actual evidence that Trump is, braggart and kind of a boorish guy. Everyone knew that too, so that doesn't really change anything. But when it comes down to it, actual criminal charges, actual allegations of sexual assault and trying to cover it up are a much bigger deal than naughty words 10 years ago. So it's a very interesting debate. I think it went extremely well for him. I hope he does the same sort of intensity and attack at the next debate. I would love to see one where she has no opportunity to sit down. I guess the first one they did have the podiums which she could lean on, but she was struggling a lot more in this one, it certainly seemed like. Let me know what you guys think. Check out rulethewasteland.com and secretoftheinternet.com. Make America great again. I'll talk to you guys later.